What's up, my good peoples? Welcome to the Be Transformed podcast. We're talking about ideas that stimulate wholesome thinking unto identity, purpose, vision, and action. I am James Anderson. With me is Logan Eaton and my man Ben Murphy, hockey extraordinaire. My good bros, what's cracking?
Not much. Good to be here.
Great
Thanks
to be
for
here.
having us over.
First time here.
First time.
Excited to be here.
Yes. Ben's the man. We're excited to have Ben here.
Excited to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who
Well,
are you? Why are you?
Who am I? Why am I?
Why are I?
Why are I?
Like an IRS?
Yeah,
My name is Ben Murphy.
What's your social security number?
I'm from wherever's not going to get me hit.
Oh my gosh, I watched that movie, Miracle.
Yes. That's it.
That's it. Was that guy from Massachusetts?
No, I think I forget where.
Or was the hockey team in
Ralph Cox
Massachusetts?
is from. No, they were from everywhere.
Oh.
They had
Where were they hockeying,
I think
practicing?
well, Herb Brooks is from Minnesota, so I think they did a lot.
Oh,
out of
Minnesota,
but
not the same as Massachusetts.
No. Different.
Sounds
A little bit of a
similar, though.
rivalry there back in the day, I guess. I don't
Minnesota and Massachusetts.
know. Well, they're two hockey hubs for
right.
the country.
And the Minnesotians have an accent that's like Minnesota,
Minnesota, yeah.
Minnesota, and then the
Don't you know?
Massachusetts. Yeah.
Don't you know?
Don't you know there?
From
It's
Minnesota.
like an Irish Canadian kind of. Don't you know there, little guy? That's what Minnesota is, right?
It is Irish
That was
Canadian.
heavy Irish there.
It's okay though.
Yeah.
Fine.
Like, hey, how are you
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
there, young guy? We're gonna go shoot some hockeys today.
That's it.
Shoot some hockey.
Yeah.
Massachusetts is like a mix of
Latin and
Russian and Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah. Close.
Like
kind of
verbatim,
like
pretty
these corners of
much.
the world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think we have a lot of Brazilians and Russians in Massachusetts. Not really, but we got some Brazilians. I
So
used
I
to
was
work
right.
with some great people,
Yeah.
hardworking.
Right.
Yeah.
Where
very
at
hard.
Massachusetts did you grow up?
So my first 8 years were in Hyde Park, Massachusetts. So my parents met. My dad seen the movie The Town.
No.
Charlestown, Mass. My
I'm pretty sure I am.
grandparents. Yeah, we
But
talked.
that's where
we
you.
talked
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah. You asked me that.
Yeah.
But that's where you grew up.
Well, not there, but yeah, Hyde Park.
Mm.
First 8
Oh,
years.
so if I watch that
somewhere
movie,
not
it's
near
not going
there.
to give me any idea.
I would of
okay.
where my dad was from. My grandmother, those projects they
Oh,
were in
wow.
that they showed. Yeah, my grandmother was in there.
Really?
Yeah, for a while.
Interesting. Is it like a heavy industrial place?
I think back in the day there was a little bit of that. but
Shipyards?
No, not. I mean, a little, but no. I don't know.
Yes,
a lot of mom
but
and pop
no.
shops.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like House of Pizza. You know,
Oh, wow.
like a submarine sandwich. You wouldn't get it at
Like
Subway.
a rigatoni.
No, you don't want to do that.
Rigatoni Jones didn't own
Rigat-
House of Pizza.
You want the House of Pizza though.
Oh,
You
okay.
want the local.
Italian? Was there heavy Italians there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Irish,
Greek?
Italian. I don't know many. I didn't grow up with many Greeks, but there's some
Oh,
Greeks.
you're
yeah.
right. That's Wyoming.
Irish, Italian,
Yeah.
Catholic. A lot of Greek in Montana,
Yeah.
Wyoming.
Heavy out there. I don't know why they went out there, but
I
they're
have no
there.
idea, but that's where they settled, right in the line too. Those rocks that are pillared at, the popular. What is it?
It just looks like the Colosseum
Stonehenge?
out there.
Yeah, that's them. The Greeks.
It
They
looks
lifted
The
those
Greeks did
rocks.
that?
Yeah,
They made
They
that.
stacked them.
Wow.
That's Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Great
I thought that
Divide
was the
up there,
Australians that did
9,000
that.
feet.
No, not the
They
Australians.
left the island, came over.
The Australians, they invented paper, didn't they?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Somebody had to. Might
Yeah,
as well
right.
have been them, yeah.
Yeah.
Rugby.
Out of
They
sand.
needed something for greeting cards, you know? You can't send pigeon mail all the time.
No, those owls.
That's why paper was invented, right?
right.
For greeting cards?
I think so.
There's-
Hallmark made it. Hallmark
the pigeons
invented
were dying.
paper.
They were getting out over the Pacific.
They couldn't
And
reach.
just
And
That's
the
why
wind was just blowing
the
back.
Australians were like, "Hey, we got to get something.
We need
we
some
gotta
seagulls.
get
something we can put on a boat
Yeah.
or a plane, or even like a
Like a chinchilla.
jet ski, huh?
Yeah, like a chinchilla. Chinchilla. On a jet ski. Yeah.
So yeah, heavy Italians over there, huh?
Yeah.
of
So
pepperoni.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, Massachusetts.
So it sounds like you've got lots of family line.
we have a lot of
Massachusetts.
most everybody is in
sees-
Massachusetts.
What's a Massachusetts person?
What is it?
Massachusetts. Would you guys have a name for?
A Massachusetts,
Yeah.
a Massachusettsian.
Masshole.
Mouse.
A masshole.
Oh, okay.
That's how they.
You were a masshole.
I was a masshole.
Okay, a masshole.
Drop the M. What do you have? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the stigma
Exactly
that we
who
have.
you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Even there in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Do you call each other that there? or
No,
the
no.
outsiders
We would
call you that?
outsiders would because I guess apparently we're massholes without the M.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. Taxi drivers were.
I
flying all
think
over.
there's just a standard of living. You know, it's a competitive environment.
Really?
You know, it's kind of a
Is it okay?
yeah. It breeds competitiveness. It's a sports state. Boston's a sports city.
Yeah.
It's a competitive city. It's a affluent state. You know, so
Yeah.
it breeds that.
Interesting.
It is
Some money involved. You know, it's a good state.
Oh.
Good state.
Good.
Nice.
Don't hate the state.
You guys
Don't
pay
hate
taxes
this.
out
We
there.
pay taxes.
The roads are fixed out there.
The roads aren't poor.
Good.
We could use another 1 or 2 lanes though on our highways for the amount of
Yeah,
population that's happening.
Sure.
right
Could
now.
we
That's
all-
here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a couple tunnels, anyways.
Yeah.
Or at least maybe a hovercraft or something.
I don't
Or
know.
3. Yeah. Nice.
What's
Yeah.
this?
When are we gonna build roads that are just for hovercrafts?
That would be good. Like floating stop signs.
Yeah.
I think what's his name was already thinking about that.
Oh, he was thinking about the underground roads.
Yeah.
The tunnels where you
Yeah,
could
he wanted to
travel
put
like
a train that went
Musk.
around the world, right?
Of
200 miles an
Elon?
hour.
Just
Yeah.
2 hundo from here to Australia and like
Yeah. Talk about getting some
talk
greeting
ab-
cards on
right,
time.
There you go. Talk about your skin being pressed from your nose.
You're not
pressed
gonna
to your
read
ears.
in that train,
No.
right? You can't read.
No.
The
Unless you
paper
can
or-
read with a book pressed against your face
Yeah.
like this. Some
When you
huge-
get there, you have to sit there for an hour just to let everything else catch up because
Right.
you're going that fast, right?
yeah.
You just have to sit there for an hour. So
Yeah,
it's almost
my
worth just
intestines are coming.
flying anyways, because then you don't have to wait for
Right, my
the
teeth.
rest of your body to come up.
Right.
Yeah,
My hair will get there.
yeah. You don't look well when you get
You
there.
want to be closer to Mike?
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. How fast was that train gonna go?
Elon Musk's train, or
Yeah. Or,
uh,
your train, whatever.
well, Thomas Jefferson was going to build one back in 1840. He had the same idea. Elon Musk just stole that idea from Thomas. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I think it was supposed to go somewhere between like 12 and 15 million miles an hour.
Wow. It's not slow.
Yeah.
I could
speed
run
of
that
light.
fast. Nice.
Yeah. Can you
Mm.
go the speed of light?
I think light can.
Can a person?
I don't. If you want to,
I don't think it's
I don't
been done
You
yet.
want to become liquid,
Particleized?
like beamed up. Beam me
Yeah.
up.
Like with a tractor beam? You ever been tractor beam?
You ever just been hit by a beam,
I have
carried
been
by a
tractor
tractor?
hit by a beam?
I've been hit by a beam.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like
Recently.
a space beam.
A space beam.
Like
No.
a
Is that like the
s-
Spaceballs?
alien ship beam,
No.
light beam, force field. No,
Just before I got here, but before that, no.
no. So it's that's the future of traveling.
Tractor beam.
Yeah,
That's the future of not going anywhere.
Oh my gosh. It's getting wacky, folks. We are getting wacky.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you've never been in a hailstorm before,
No.
obviously, and
Or on the Prime Meridian.
yeah.
No.
But you have been to the what? The Arctic Circle?
Oh
Been
yeah,
above
the
it.
Northern
Been
Lights.
above the Arctic
Above
Circle.
it.
Yeah. Been above the Arctic Circle.
So does that mean you were above the Arctic Circle
I was above it.
So you were
Narvik.
basically-
Norway.
in Antarctica and Arctic?
I was in Norway.
You were in Antarctica and Arctica at the same time.
Yeah. They called it Narvik.
Oh, wow. So you had one foot in Antarctica and another foot in Arctica.
No. Yeah.
If you're on top of... So you're on top of the world.
I was on top of the world,
Wow.
looking down on creation.
Wow.
Oh.
Could you see the moon from there?
I don't remember seeing the moon.
Oh, that's because you're in...
Let me tell you about the
I think
continental
it was the
breakfast.
magnetic field
though.
there.
We had a continental
The
breakfast.
continental breakfast in Norway will it's like it's insane. It's actually I can't words do not do it justice.
It's almost better than the Northern Lights.
It's
It's
Yeah.
better than like the...
it was.
It's better than
for
a
me. It
buffet
was
here.
it was better. Like they wouldn't dare put like a day old loaf of bread on the table.
So instead of...
Salmon,
so going,
6 kinds of salmon, however you want it. How do you want it? You want hot salmon for breakfast? Lox, cream cheese? What do you want?
So
How do
you would
want
go
it
to
blended?
Norvik instead of the Northern Lights. You just go for the
I just go up to Narvik
the
to eat the
continental?
continental.
the
But they had
breakfast
that
buffet.
back where we stayed in Fredrikstad.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very good.
I stayed at a place, a motel one time that had they said they had a
mo-
continental
motel,
breakfast.
Motel
Was it the
8.
six?
They said no, it was
The
like a
lights were on?
local, and they
Wait.
said they had a continental breakfast. I think it was a coffee pot and some granola bars.
Really?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a tangerine, maybe a cutie.
Not even that.
No,
I don't think so.
That's stretching.
Maybe like a packet of like Splenda.
Yeah. Here, suck that in.
Yeah, what can you do with that?
Like that.
All kinds
yeah.
of things.
But yeah, I was hoping for pancakes, and I
Oh.
walk in, it's coffee and a granola bar.
That's what
But you gotta
get
take what
when
you can get
pay
sometime.
$35 for a room.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the guy tried to give me a deal. He said it's usually $150, but I'll cut it down to $140. And then I talked to somebody, and they're paying like $20 a night.
Yeah.
Ripped off.
Ripped. Yeah.
Don't trust
Thanks
the
for
local
coming.
motels.
Yeah.
And that was in Massachusetts.
No,
No, that was in Nordic?
Minnesota.
Oh.
Lovely state.
That's where I got that. Yeah,
The Irish.
Lovely accent.
You are Irish, yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Sweet. Well, just like this conversation is full of potential, tonight we're talking about some potential
Potentile, if you pronounce it correctly.
from the Nordic language.
It's really potentile. Maybe not.
Potent
I'd have to check my.
from the root word.
Yeah, I'd have to go check my.
Showed your
When
face
I was
parts?
studying grammar, and at Yale, I'd have to go check that to see if I pronounce it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So what's up with potential?
What's not up with potential is a shorter list, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Well, maybe. You lost me.
Let me found you. Potential is unrealized ability, not yet manifested, and you're full of it. This is it's okay when somebody says, "Bro, you're full of that
Yeah.
potential."
Wow.
You're like, I know.
I guess
Not
I
full
am.
of hockey pucks.
No.
Full of potential. Yeah, so the potential is it's a fun concept because everything that you were created to become is already inside of you. Right? Like you don't have to go out and look for it. You don't need to pay for it. You don't find it in school. It's already built in you. Yeah, and so it's just a fun concept because sometimes, you know, you could look at somebody else and you could see the things they've done, you could see what they've become, and you could think, oh man, I don't measure up to that or this and that. But it's like, man, that's where you're totally full of this epic potential that you have yet to see or realize. And so I mean, just kind of getting into this concept. You know, you look at a manufacturer, and so when a manufacturer sets out to make a product, there's a reason, there's a purpose, right? So there's either like a problem that this thing is going to solve, or there's a need it's going to fulfill. And so the manufacturer goes into great detail in what this product is going to do, right? Like you have to determine all the different intricacies because you got to build it in to it so that it fulfills its reason for existence, right? So for a product, you know, you're thinking, All right. I mean, does it have moving parts? Does it need to resist heat, friction, weight, right? Because all these things would determine what it's made out of, the size it is, all just the different components that would go into it. So before creation is purpose. Purpose is before creation. And before creation comes design, right? So you think about the reason why it exists. Then you think about everything it needs. Then once you determine these things, then you put it in to this product, into this thing, and then you ship it out, right? Because a manufacturer would never make a product for no reason, right? You don't make a product to fail. You don't make a product for humor. You make a product on purpose. And every single person that was created on purpose. Nobody was the circumstances that may have brought you into being may have been less than ideal. But you never want to take that into the consideration of the value that you hold. When a manufacturer makes a product, he makes that junk on purpose to succeed. But the problem that you can run into is that when people misunderstand the reason, the purpose for something, you kind of get into guessing how things function, right? You're like, well, I'm not really sure how this functions. So you can get into misuse and abuse. Well, misuse and abuse is not the intended purpose of the creator, right? The creator made a product a certain way to function for a certain reason, right? So if you took, a smartphone and you try to use it as a Frisbee, right, it wouldn't work very well. I mean, that baby might coast through the air, but it's like the first time it hits the ground, the screen's all shattered. You're like, oh my gosh, this thing wasn't very durable. Yeah, but the problem was that that thing had a totally different purpose. It functions totally differently. So when you misunderstand the reason for the existence, you can get into some misuse and abuse. And so you can absolutely find yourself in a place of misuse and abuse. But what you would never, ever want to confuse that with, you would never want to confuse the misuse and abuse that you have seen, felt, and have realized, and take that as that's how the manufacturer intended you to be used. Because that junk will make me cuss right now. That junk's cow patties, right? So people who don't understand their purpose, sure as crap aren't going to understand the purpose of you, which gets into misuse and abuse. But that was never the intended purpose. Yeah, so when you guys think about this purpose, the potential, the fact that a manufacturer makes a product on purpose to function, does that do anything for you guys? Make you guys think of anything?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Would you anybody care to elaborate? Ben, what do you got? Come on, hit us up.
I think I was doing an assessment this time last year as I was transitioning from Norway, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I did hockey for X amount of years, and now what the heck am I going to do for the next 26? So I started doing, assessment. I had a dear friend help me talk about, try to get a vision and try to, see the things I liked. And one value a core value of mine that he said, the things you hate are the things that you love the most. And so I hate when excellence is not strived for. I hate when people have so much more in them, and that they don't see it or they can't draw it out. And so that was, for me, that's like I think that's my number one. Just, it really tugs my heart to see that untapped potential in people. And so I think it should be, I think it's, if we can get the truth out there to people that there is so much more in them that they can tap into in order to do. I think it just needs to be done. I think everyone's got more in them that they are, whether lies or what have you, are keeping them from going in that or going in what they were designed to be, or even the willingness to ask the questions,
Yeah.
of what I would like to do, or what am I here for, and giving themselves the freedom to do that.
Yeah. What you're talking about excellence. What's your mindset on excellence, or like where's that concept kind of come from?
I think so. As Logan and I were sitting in the cubicle over there at the Winthrop, we were coming up with 405 Winthrop. We're trying to figure out what does success mean to you? And I was at a conference about a month ago, and I heard I think the best for me, the best definition of success, and for me that is tapping out on what's possible. Like tap whatever that looks like for you, but tapping out on that. So I think I could use the word excellence interchangeably, but with success, and I would say that is tapping out on what is possible. If lies and fear were not an option, what would you do with your life? And I think that for me, that's excellence. I think as far as me living it out, but in other people, it could mean whatever it is to them.
Yeah. I love it. What do you think?
So you said success could be like personal excellence.
Yeah.
Personal excellence. Yeah.
Well, it's not like you're talking about just not settling for something less than you are, or settling for something less that is in you that you can see, but you're like just with the fear, with the doubt, the worries, the insecurities, the freaking just jacked up information. You think, oh no, man, I couldn't possibly do that.
That's
but
exactly
yeah, but
what
it's
I'm
like,
saying.
but it's don't settle for that. Yeah, that illusion.
An illusion. Yeah. Yeah. I think when I listen to that, I think about the stuff that when we first started meeting up and becoming friends, you had taught me about, like, I think this is what really helped change my whole mindset, was that the stuff like the like God's power and energy and strength and the courage and the gifts and everything that was already built into you, and just believing that can help transform your whole mind. And I think when I started to believe that, like I stopped praying like to be filled with more of God, or filled with more of the Holy Spirit, or filled with more gifts, or filled with more energy or strength or whatever. Just stopped praying to be filled with more grace or all that, and just started believing that stuff was given, and it was built in, and it was given in a generous amount, enough to last for however many days I was set to be on here. So I just stopped believing that. I stopped believing that stuff where it's like my whole prayer stuff changed. I could just stop praying for that. And it was almost like I was consciously aware that like nothing was changing when I was praying for that kind of stuff. And now I realize it was because I already had all that stuff. It was already inside of me. And so, yeah, I just started to believe that I think was the how initially I was able to transform my mind out of the old ways. And that's how I think it's trained me to start believing things that I used to think I would just throw off or brush off or try to bury under the rug. But so yeah, it changed my whole view of who God is, my whole prayer, my whole prayer time, or whatever, how I pray or whatever, and just what I believe. And I've heard that before, like being said that you need to pray for more grace, or pray to be closer to God, or pray for the stuff to be inside, like the gifts but it's just I don't know. I'm really glad that we had talked about that and met up, and I started to believe that. I think that's what helped me go from where I was to where I am today, and will continue to help me get to where I want to be, is that whole mindset shift of believing that the potential is already inside of you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting, right? All right. So everything that was visible was made from the invisible, right? So, but I think because we look at the visible as like the stuff of this world, so it's like we almost overlook the fact that everything that you can see was made from the unseen. So meaning that the things that are seen have like represent the things that aren't seen. So you think about, all right, so potential, right? Everything you need to become is already inside of you. So, I mean, you think about a baby, I mean, which starts out as a sperm and an egg, comes together, fertilizes. It's just this super tiny thing that you'd have to look at in like a petri dish in a microscope, right? But over the course of 9 months, that thing becomes a full-term baby, which then comes out. Well, but see, look, that baby has everything it needs, right, in the right environment to become a child, a teenager, an adult, right? You don't have to give it these different, I mean, you got to feed it, right? And we learn and we grow, right? We understand our potential. We all learn how to speak. We learn how to walk, learn how to crawl, you learn how to move, and then you learn and you learn and you learn. You continue to become and become. Why? Because you have the ability and the capacity to learn. Everything, what something starts out as is not all that it's created to be. But everything you need to become what you're created to become is already inside of you. And it's just that concept where it's like, if you're sitting around waiting, continually praying for like God to come or for for him to give you gifts or whatever, it's just like, if you run around trying to chase after things that you already have as if you don't have them, like, it's going to suck. And I did that, you run around in this cycle, but you're overlooking what you already have, what's already inside you. Just kind of what you're talking about. It's like from a totally different perspective. Instead of asking for grace and strength, you're like, oh crap, I already have it. It's just a mentality shift that creates a new reality. Yeah. So tapping in to the truth, right? And changing the way we think, becoming everything we're created to become. So, I mean, kind of like what you guys are talking about, it's like you get these ideas, these visions, these dreams. You picture yourself in the future, doing these things. There's things that piss you off that you just feel like, man, I freaking inside of me is the answer to that problem, right? You get these ideas, you get these thoughts. Dude, that's freaking your potential wafting up to the surface, like giving you mental images, of this is what you're capable of, but in incorrect thinking, which we've all experienced, you think, oh my gosh, that's pride, or that's arrogance, or that's the flesh, there's no way, that, yeah. And that's absolute bullcrap. It's the most natural thing that these glorious ideas of ourselves pop up to our minds, because that's the stuff we're created to become. So it's like, instead of pushing that stuff away, you start to embrace it. You start to believe in the value that you hold, right? We think, okay, well, we're horrible and God's good. No, God made you in his image. Right? Well, and then what's even more is you become the temple of the living God Almighty. So, I mean, to say that you have nothing good inside of you, dude, is like extremely insulting.
Yeah. Extremely. Yeah. It's like, yeah, what were we talking about last night? Like getting a gift from your dad.
Oh, yeah.
And then just being like, no, I don't deserve that gift.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I bought this gift for you. I paid for it. It's yours. I want you to have it. It's like, no, I don't deserve it. But your dad's like, no, I know everything about you, and I still want you to have this. And you're still like, no, I don't think so.
You're right.
But it's like right there. It's right there.
Yes. Yeah.
It's got a bow on it and everything.
Yeah. What do you got? What do you got?
Have you been fed other information before?
Just hit home. I turned my car around from a vision and a dream that I set out on, that I believe God gave me. Like we talked about, putting a nail in the coffin in that dream, literally driving my car to California, almost hitting the guardrail because I was so emotional that I could be part of something so beautiful. And I couldn't, because I wasn't worthy. I couldn't fully embrace it. I'm not worthy enough to have blessing and to be part of something so good. What a lie. What a lie.
Yeah.
If that's you and you have that experience, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. You're worthy in Christ,
Yeah. Totally.
It's good.
Totally.
It's good.
What was that last part that you said? Something about Something about something, right?
So definitely something about something. Yeah. Yeah. So what? So you were driving to California
Yeah.
and you had some vision,
Oh, I
but then you thought,
mapped it all like this was already planned. Worked through 7 or 8 weeks of just getting a vision, finding purpose, putting that purpose into action. Receive, 2 point. Like we're talking. Like I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about what God is doing. If you're willing, you know what I mean, to like ask and open up your hands to this. Him working through me and giving me the potential that's in me. Literally driving the car and after piecing it all together and just headed towards something that I really want and I believe is from God, and like not feeling the feeling of unworthiness was comforting, but it was like I've never been moved like that before, that I could be a part of something that I would want and feel like God would want for me so bad,
so you had more of like a revelation of something good.
Yeah. Of like what is like to be used, to like to have my potential being like fulfilled, like on a path to have my potential be fulfilled, and just being like, whoa,
Yeah.
That was that's all I was sharing.
Yeah.
That was my 2 cents.
And but you went anyways, right?
I kept
You got
pushing
into
on.
it.
Yeah, got right into it.
Yeah. And
Got
still
right.
doing it.
Still doing it.
Still going forward.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. There's this misconception that it's like whatever God has for you is gonna suck, right? It's like, it's just like everything, because it just makes sense. It makes sense that you were made in the image of God, but then everything that you're created to do is supposed to suck. That just makes a lot of sense. It's just absurd, the dumb that we think that like you would. There are things that like if we the ways we think about God and the spiritual, if we viewed those in the physical, we'd like it would be absurd. But there's ways that we view God that are so unnatural. It's ridiculous. But see, everything God created, He created on purpose, like to function on purpose, right? So it's like our life inside of God is the most natural thing that there is. Hearing God's voice is so natural, which is why it's amazing how sometimes I'm like, I could almost confuse God's voice with my voice, but I don't. But it's like, it's almost so easy to confuse because it's just that natural. It's just that intricate. It's just, that's how we were made. When you become connected to the source of life, dude, you freaking found where you belong. Like this is the jam. It's like, so if a manufacturer creates a product on purpose to be able to function in what it was created to function for, then my good peoples, your entire fulfillment is wrapped up in everything that God gave you to become. Like the dreams, the vision, the potential that rises up has everything to do with what you actually want, because it's everything you are inside of God, man. This life is freaking legit. This is the jam. This is the true kingdom of heaven. This is it, man. This is the real deal, Holyfield, man. It's where you belong, which is why it's so freaking glorious. All we got to do is change the way we think. We got to unlearn some dumb crap that we've learned to relearn the truth.
Yeah.
And then it's just on.
Yeah.
It's on, Benji boy. Yeah. Potential. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, so let's talk about realizing some potential. So you got some ideas, man. You got some stuff. We're talking about dreaming some dreams. What do you guys think are some ways? Like, what are ways that you guys tap into the potential, or what do you do with these ideas that you get? How do you foster those babies?
How do you make them grow?
Yeah. How do you turn them? Yeah.
How do you turn a sprout into a
parsnip
vegetable?
Yeah. Or a cucumber, whichever your preference.
Yeah.
Pickle.
I think you're talking about how to cultivate that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
If you somebody that already has maybe an idea of what they want,
Sure.
desire, dream,
Or maybe
value.
they're just like, oh my gosh, yeah, what?
Or maybe they don't know.
Yeah.
I think maybe you have a hard sit down and you just start thinking through all the things that you're drawn to, the good things that you're drawn to, the things you like to do, things about yourself. If you already have ideas that you know of, I think it's just having a good sit down and narrowing things down. Like, do you see the next 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years doing this? And if not, then just, okay, what is it really that's buried in there that, maybe needs to be thought about. But, yeah, I think just having a good sit down with yourself and just thinking about being conscious about yourself. Who are you? What do you like to do?
Yeah.
What can you do? What's possible?
Yeah, I think you touched on it, right? It's like when you were talking about like if fear and doubt wasn't like a thing. Like, so, I mean, what would you do? If you could do anything, what would you do? Right? Like for the most part, we kind of think, but this. But what if instead of buts, we're just like, what if, right? Like, what if?
Try to think in rational terms so much that you almost limit yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right.
Totally.
So like, what if, right? Like,
rational or irrational?
Be more irrational.
Yeah.
Most likely. If you don't know,
Right.
Throw it out the window.
then you need to be irrational because you become so rational
Right.
that literally you're unrational in the ways of the
Right.
kingdom.
You're so rational,
Right.
you're unrational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
you're so rational. You're sitting in your room staring at the four white walls.
Right.
not doing
Thinking like
anything.
this is it. Like this
Yeah.
is like
We're here.
I shouldn't go outside. Like I shouldn't go hang out with these people. I shouldn't go to
Right.
church. I shouldn't read that book. I shouldn't. I shouldn't. I should just stay here.
Right.
But you think this becomes your environment. It becomes so comfortable, but it's like insane that it's like this is where. Shoot, man. I mean, there used to be times I used to sleep 16 hours a day because it's like that's where the peace was. But it's like that's the environment that when you cultivate just breeds more suck. So, yeah. So it's time to get unrational. You start to take off the cap. You start, what if? I mean, what if? Like, what if you didn't have to make money? What if like these things that you think like are your excuses to not even like hold an idea? Like, what would you do? Or if you could make a ton of money, would you do it? It's like, what do you want to do?
Right.
If you can start tapping into like the reality that anything is possible, we're starting to get into some potential.
Yeah.
But you got to get a little unreasonable with it.
Yeah.
A little irrational, if you will. Dude, because that's freaking where life is. You can exist. I mean, people exist, man. Like, people are content. Well, I don't know if they're content, but it's like you just become so comfortable with like, all right, I'm making just enough money to pay my bills, right, and to have a couple nice things. But like, that's it. You don't have any other money in the bank account. You're not. It's like you become so comfortable with just existing. And you think, well, this is just how life is. This is what God wants me to do. I come home at night. I watch Netflix. I mean, this is just what my life is. Like, this is. Yeah, man, I'm going to church. I'm doing the thing. Like, this is life.
Study group on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Man, it's just like there's just a bit more available.
You might be at 16% when you could be at
Like 10
100%.
million. Yeah. 10 million%.
But you might think your 16% is 100% when really you just don't even know.
Right.
Yeah.
You haven't asked yourself the hard questions
Right.
yet, or just the questions.
Right.
Yeah, I was reading this book, and he was talking about the quality of your life or the caliber of your life is related to the caliber of questions you ask yourself.
It's really good.
Like what kind of questions? I mean, like you're talking about, like, what is success? What is your life? When you stand before God, what is your life? Was it like, I mean, it's just like, are you gonna be like, yeah, I'm really glad I binge watched all those shows. Like, I feel like that was good. You're standing before Jesus and you're like, yeah, I just feel like that was really good. It's really spiritual.
Really?
I watched The Punisher.
Yeah.
2 seasons right through.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, what? You did what?
You do what?
Spiritual?
Like that really benefited my life.
Did you punch someone within the next 2 months after what? For no reason?
Yeah. But yeah, I lost my train of thought there.
You were
yeah.
talking about,
When you stand before God, which that junk's happening. So it's just like when you think about that, like, what do you want to say? What do you want your life to be about? What do you want to be known for? Because it's like, it's these questions that it starts the wafting process. You start remembering the things that you've already thought that you've perhaps discounted and shoved down and pushed away because you're like, oh, that can't even be close to be from God, right? Those things start coming back to the surface. And the more you kind of let go of the quote unquote rational and get into the irrational, the more and more you start to discover who you actually are and who God actually really is. So some practical ways to do that is just to get into some more information. But people, if that's your environment of the quote unquote rational, where it's like, I'm just comfortable with being average, then, or just, existing, then the environment that you keep is toxic. And so it's time to find some books that have nothing to do with any. The people you're hanging out with probably aren't reading any good books or listening to anything good. It's just for real. You got to switch up your association. You got to switch up the information that's coming to you. You want to get in front of people who are doing things, who like have a life that represents peace, that represents joy, that represents righteousness, right? This reality that we have. You want to hook into people who know what that is, right? Because they got there by thinking correct thoughts. They thought there by encountering God. It's like you want to hang out with these people. You want to read the books that they're reading. You want to listen to the stuff they're listening to, because these things are cultivating thoughts of the kingdom that are true, that are of God, that reflect who God actually is. It's that stuff where you start to discover who you actually are. So one practical way is getting into some information that is totally different than you've gotten into before. Reading some books, but then having the sit down. Dude, there are verses, right? I mean, we've talked about this in other episodes, but just this concept of in Jeremiah, God says, I know the plans I have for you. These plans, right? To prosper you, not to harm you. Most people live in this reality of the harm, right? He says, dude, I got a hope and a future. But we're like, oh yeah, that hope and future sucks. No, right? It doesn't. It doesn't. Look, all I'm saying is if Moses hung out in the presence of God and his face came out shining like the sun, like what, is that how you view God? Like that, do you view God as being something that would transform you into something epically glorious? Like your true nature revealed inside of God? It's like, how do you view God? Because these views that we have of God affect our views of ourselves, which affect the way we view everything, our life, our circumstances, our situations. You gotta hold correct views, because a lot of times, man, we attribute to God what freaking came from hell, right? The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but Jesus came to bring life and life abundantly. And sometimes we get confused on who's doing what, but it's like those views that we hold of God, dude, they affect everything. Your priorities, your mentality, your personality, like it's all reflected through these views. And so you want to make sure you're holding the right ones.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was going to say take a 12-minute time too, which is something you introduced. I don't know if that's from Romans 1:12 or not, but 12 minutes.
No, yeah, 12 minutes. Yeah, we did an article on that. You can find it at Daily Cultivation.
But, yeah, and that's just one practical way to just start. I think you just don't try to force anything with that. You sit down and you just focus on just being with God. Even if you're not hearing anything or saying anything, you're just focused on meditation, being with God. I think eventually you do start to hear. I know eventually you do start to hear.
Yeah, you're just talking about like taking the pressure off, because like sometimes when you get down in these prayer times, you can kind of get that anxiety of like, I have to hear something.
Yeah.
And
just seek it out. Like something practical is just to ask.
Yeah.
Just start seeking it out. Because I think that Jeremiah verse, what did it say? Oh, I know the plans I have. I know I have the plans for you.
I
Plans to
know
give
I've
you
got
hope
some
and
plans.
and a
Yeah, I just
future.
can't find
Like
them.
we use that, but it's almost to a cliche to where it's like
Sure.
it makes us
Absolutely.
feel better about ourselves or
Right.
somebody else. But we really don't know what that means. It's like
Right.
if God has plans for me, I want to know what those plans are specifically. I want to know. And how do I, and then let's get into it. Like to give me hope and a future. What is that going to look like? What does that look like for the next 40 or 70 years? What does that look like? Hope and a future. Yeah. So and I've been reading some Job lately too. And I think the common thing is like, you can't take Job's friends' words and use them as legit, like scripture. Like there was a lot of misconception that they had. So you can't take what they had misconceptions about who God was and what was actually going on, beyond what we can see. And so you can't take what they say as truth. And this whole time, it's not like you can't think that like God was bringing these things on Job. It wasn't God bringing these things on Job. So it was just interesting to read that book. I think with a kind of a new perspective.
Yeah.
Like I think I had read that a couple of years ago, but was in a completely different mind state. And then reading it now, I think it's just critical to not believe like that, like God wasn't bringing those things on Job. God actually restored everything 10 times over, however many times over in the end. And it was really the enemy that was doing all these things and causing all this trouble. Like that's not who God was. And Job's friends, I think it's important to know that some people will appear to know what they're talking about or seem to have a lot of information or something, but at the same time their misconception is skewed. It might even sound good, but their conception of who God is or perception of who God is and even who they are or who other people are is skewed. And reading it you can see that, but I think it's important to just be careful about what you're taking in. If you're going on a mission to seek out something for your life, just be careful about what comes in, and then don't be afraid to ask either. Don't be afraid to seek it out, to knock. And then if you don't hear anything, just start pounding. and then ring the doorbell.
Yeah.
Check the windows.
Check all the doors.
There might be a back door.
And if still nothing,
Beware of
get
dog.
the sledge.
Jump the gate.
Turn the car.
Do whatever it takes to get in. But I think it's like that verse that's like knock and it'll be open. You don't have to. It's not about trying to get in somewhere. It's just knock and it'll be open. It's going
like
to
this.
the door will be open.
Bring it.
So
Just knock. I'm right here.
Yeah, so knock. I think that's what came to mind when you were talking about some of the practicals of reading and studying. That's crazy important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You seem like you're thinking some thoughts about all kinds of different stuff. What do you got?
No, I agree with everything. I'm like right on the same page. You just have to. I think I'm blessed to have gotten to a place where I had to ask myself some serious questions. But I also think that I was blessed to be able to, as a 5-year-old kid, know what I wanted to do with my life, So, like, and then have it work its way out. And I wasn't walking with the Lord until really, I believe, 20 years old. So, but just taking that and, where I am today, the stuff I was believing 2 years ago, and then meeting both of you, it's like totally... everything I'm literally everything I hoped that I'd found. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It's like the fact that I'm sitting here with you two and you're saying these things. It's like, oh my goodness, So just taking that and applying it and just getting to the place where you're just like a good, like just a simple thing that Logan says all the time. It's like, you're going to ask your father for bread and he's going to give you a stone. It's like, there's no chance. And if that's true, then if that's true, then the way we view God, I think in my circles has been crazy. It's just been crazy. So like getting to a place where you're going to start asking the right questions. And it's like, if I could do anything with my life, asking a lot, like you were saying, is just getting to a place where, blessed to be in a place where I was forced to ask those questions of really who God is, what's he care about, what's he want to do with my life. I have all these ideas and dreams and vision. I think a lot of people that do a lot of great things on this earth, in Christ, out of Christ, they're able to like have these visions, or they're able to have these things in them that stir their heart in a certain way that are good and that help and serve people that they're willing to go in faith and do. and then they do it, and then it helps, and then a lot of people are blessed by it. And it's, so the point is like, but going to a place where you're going to have to really ask those questions. How was I just, it's okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, ask the questions. Like, if I am unique, if I am designer made, if that's true about me, which it has to be, because God says in Psalm 139 that I'm fearful. I knitted you together in your mother's womb, fearfully and wonderfully made. Like, that's literal in your heart. And if you believe that to be true, you have to think like that. You have to believe that is true. And it's like those good things in you, like, let's live out of those. Like, what? It's like, why wouldn't we? So getting to a place where you have to really ask those questions, and then trusting that they are from the God. God says, these good things we should think about. If it's good, let's think about it. Let's think about these things. And then let's go in. What if we went in those things? Because faith without works is, nothing. So like, let's go in them now. And just having the faith to just believe that this is the Lord and go in it.
What were some of the questions you had to ask yourself?
I think one question was like, what would I do if, in the uniqueness in the unique way that I was designed, what would I do? What would I do with my life? What do I like to do? Simply, what do I like to do? Write down 10 things that I like to do. If I could do anything simple, from like, being with my wife on a honeymoon on a balcony to like, and to owning my own chiropractic office business, so anywhere in between, just things that I like. I like health.
Yeah.
Believing that health's not good. God doesn't really care that much about health and and money. It's like, what? What? It's insane. So yeah, asking your question, like, no, what if I do care about money, or I do care about my health, I do care about these things, and I care about these things more than I care about like him or her and what she cares about. I don't care about painting, but like, I really care about these things.
I care that you like painting.
Yeah.
I like that you like painting.
Yeah.
I'll encourage you, but I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it. So just asking those questions about yourself. What do I like to do?
Who are you?
Who am I?
Who is God?
And if I'm designer made, what does that mean?
Yeah, I think it's critical to have an answer for who you are and then who God is. I don't think I could answer that 2 years ago. I know I couldn't answer that 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So what? What are you were talking about just a couple years ago? Had a little maybe mind dump or something.
Yeah.
What was going?
I just think
what was going on
I just
there?
think the content that I was reading was pulling me. Was like, the content that I was wrapped up in was definitely like, it looked like in order to glorify God, I had to die. I had to just choose to suffer, and I don't know. And it's like, I think that is a lie. I think there's deception in that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we will pick up our cross, but I don't know if we need to go into that further. But just believing like that's just one big death show. It's just one big like hate your life.
Yeah, because
you're not going to do anything good. You know what I mean? Like.
Because that verse that says rejoice in your sufferings, not because you brought them on yourself, but because you got into something that was a challenge, or that required effort and or required responsibility.
Amen.
Not because you brought them on or created them yourself to sit in.
The Message version in Matthew.
But that just popped into my head.
Yeah, it says the same thing, and I puts the icing on that cake of just like, don't add to your suffering. It's just so if you're struggling out there, read the Message. Be pretty clear for you.
The Message version of the Bible.
The Message version of the Bible it'll look like life to you, just like it did for me, and it has been. It'll simplify it for you instead of banging your head against the wall with Latin you don't even understand.
King James?
Anyways, yeah. So it's okay. That's my 2 cents. Sorry, a little fired up.
Good.
But yeah.
Yeah. So you're supposed to suffer, and what was it? Did that even look like something?
Yeah. It looked like me wanting to do this. It looked like me believing I had to live in, I don't know, I guess live in attention or live in like I really wanted to do this, but like, is that good? And it's good, but it's like, should I do it? Or like, I really want to do these things, and I feel like I'm created to be used in this way, but like, I gotta like just, I don't know, I should hate it. And I don't know. I just think the people that I was listening to and the content that I was listening to, it was just cultivating I wasn't doing anything.
Sure.
And all I wanted to do was run and sprint. I like Formula One racing for a reason. You know what I mean? And I'm starting to learn that like this, maybe that's me, you know? I like to live my life in faith.
Moving and doing.
Moving and doing in
Yeah.
faith. Yeah.
Sure.
With a little bit of urgency. I like to live with urgency more than I like to just, I'm not the best with patience, you know? I should name if I'm blessed to have a daughter someday, her name's going to be Patience. Because every time I look at her, I'm going to be like, Patience.
Which in Spanish that means
Da niño?
That means it means the basket that's used for groceries. I think that's what that means.
Oh my gosh.
But
yeah, the old conflict.
The old conflict.
That's what
for no
happens.
reason.
Yeah. Well, it's like I've got these desires, but then I feel like they're terrible. And then you've got this epic confusion. And this is all from experience myself. You get this epic confusion cooking, and then you do nothing. And you build up this fear, you build up this condemnation, your life sucks, that you can't function correctly. I mean, you show up, but your mind parts are a freaking mess. Your emotions are a hot mess. It's just like people used to look at me and they'd be like, oh, you got so much peace. I'm like, there's no like, I don't know. It's not nice and neat. It's like a hot freaking mess. I was crazy and it sucked and I hated it. And nobody could freaking tell me what the crap was wrong. But that junk ain't true today.
No.
Yeah. So we help you get out of that junk. Yeah. On purpose with no regard to bullcrap.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance. But we will pluck that junk out. Doesn't belong there. Yeah. 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 Created on purpose to do epic things. Freaking run the race in such a way to win the prize, right? It's like you're talking about, like with urgency.
Yeah.
Right? Run in such a way to win on purpose, right? Anybody who goes into the games goes into strict training, focused, right? To become excellent, to get into it on purpose and to freaking dominate. Why? Because, man, dude, and we're created to bear the glory of God. Well, it just so happens that his glory is like literally glorious. Like it's full of joy. It's full of peace. It's full of healing. But it's like when you think that God hates you and God sucks and your life is supposed to suck, then it's like, how good is that glory? Like, what are you actually? It's like a steaming pile of poop, man. It's just like, that's the mentality that you live in. It's just like, that literally it's malfunction. It literally does not function.
You're doing the opposite.
Yeah. You're doing the malfunction. Don't do the malfunction. God is a God of function, right? He created everything to function, right? I mean, friggin' everything to function and increase. I mean, an apple tree will bear apples, right? Inside the apples are the seeds. Those apples will ripen, fall to the ground, decompose back into the dirt, and take the seeds with them, right? And they sprout out hundreds more of apple trees, right? All started from one little tiny seed. Everything God created, he created to function, man, to be smooth. If you've ever been out in the wilderness, that chunk is glorious, man. Dude, and nothing in all creation except for us was made in his image. I'm telling you, the things that we are created to display are beyond what we've gotten into yet. But these are the things that are available. These are the things we're meant to get into. It just means we just need to behold the actual glory of God on purpose. Get so into the goodness, because the kingdom of heaven is righteousness, peace, and joy. If you feel like you live in condemnation, suck, and death, right, you got the wrong information. So just know that. Anytime, when you think about your life, when you think about yourself, and you have the opposite of hope, dude, you're not You're not thinking the thoughts of the kingdom, right? That's the one who comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Those are the thoughts, the emotions that you marinate in, right? If that junk kills hope, if it kills future, dude, that is not from God. That's a hightail sign, right? Where you become aware of what the truth actually is. Well, my good peoples, you were created on purpose, with a purpose, for a purpose, epically full of potential. And in the name of Jesus, dude, may that junk be realized and manifested so that we become a people freaking who make disciples of nations, who literally bear the glory. People see it, are attracted to you. They come to you and encounter God. And because of that, their lives change forever. In Jesus' name, my good peoples, peace.